notification that you would like to speak, and we will call on you when your turn comes up. If you have a question that you would like to type in instead, you can use the Q&A box down at the bottom of your screen to enter a question that way, and we will answer those either in text or aloud as appropriate.
Thank you, Sean. So as mentioned earlier, the Southampton Housing Plan will cover the town in its entirety. We are not focusing only on one particular area. We're looking at the entire town, and the housing plan will speak to the goals for housing town-wide. This evening, we are focusing on one particular area. We are looking at East Quogue. And although we're discussing East Quogue tonight, we welcome comments and questions for the town overall or for any particular part of the town. And residents from anywhere in the town are welcome to ask questions or provide input tonight. But again, some of the data and demographics we're going to look at tonight are going to focus on East Quogue. As you can see from the map in front of you, East Quogue has a variety of land uses, including a lot of residential land uses. That's all the areas in yellow that you can see. Their open space is obviously the green areas that you can see. Industrial is the pink up in the kind of northeast area of the hamlet. And there's some agricultural lands as well, which is the orange, kind of along the eastern part of the hamlet. And the hamlet also includes, the area that is to the south on the other side of the bay. That's shown there on the map as well. All right, so to provide a little bit of an overview of the hamlet and compared to the town overall, we can look at several things, including population. The town-wide population in Southampton is 57,975, of which 4,797 people live in East Quogue. Total number of households town-wide are 21,491, of which 1,895 households are in East Quogue. The average household size town-wide is about 2.5 persons per household, which is pretty similar to East Quogue at about 2.53 persons per household. Total number of housing units town-wide is about 43,826, of which 3,164 housing units are in East Quogue. The median home value is slightly lower in East Quogue than it is town-wide overall on average. The town-wide median home value is $653,800, and in East Quogue, the median home value is $554,600. And the median household income also is a little bit less in East Quogue at $86,831, which can be compared to the town-wide median household income of $89,199. Taking a look at some of the demographic characteristics in the town and in the hamlet, the town of Southampton can be compared as far as age comparison to the hamlet. A lot of similarities, particularly in the 45 to 64 population, is very similar ratio of population that is in that age range town-wide and within the hamlet overall. Same with over 65, very similar ratio of population that is over 65. The real differences are in the under 18 and the 20 to 44 age categories. In the East Quogue hamlet, you have a higher percentage of the population that is under 18 and a lower percentage of the population that is in the age range 20 to 44 compared with the town overall. Educational attainment down at the bottom of your screen on the left-hand side. Town-wide, the percentage of folks that have no high school is higher on average than it is in East Quogue. And the number of folks that have high school as the highest level of education is higher town-wide than it is in East Quogue. Number of folks with a college degree, again, higher in the town of Southampton overall than it is in East Quogue. And the number of folks with a graduate degree as the highest level of education is higher in East Quogue than it is in the town of Southampton. Taking a look at race on the right side of your screen, townwide, the town of Southampton is about 72% white, 20% Hispanic, 5% Black, and 3% Asian. In East Quogue, it is less diverse at about 84.4% white, 10.3% Hispanic, 0.5% Black, and 2% Asian. And taking a look at housing occupancy characteristics. In the town of Southampton, as compared to East Quogue, you have a greater percentage of units that are occupied in East Quogue than you do townwide. Fewer units are seasonal in East Quogue than townwide overall on average. Again, this is a ratio or the percentage for housing occupancy. Your owner occupied is higher in East Quogue than it is in the townwide, and similarly, your renter occupied is lower in East Quogue than it is townwide overall. And looking at the number of units per building, townwide about 88.6% of housing units are single family, and about 2.7% townwide are between 2 and 4 units, and about 2.9% are between 5 and 19 units. This can be compared to East Quogue, which is has more single family units at 92.2% of housing units are single family. There's really no measurable 2 to 4 units, and there's about 5 to 9, as far as 5 to 9 units, you're at about 2%. And, or I'm sorry, there's no 5 to 9 units, my apologies. 2 to 4 units, you've got about 2%. And then mobile homes, about 4.5% of housing units in East Quogue are mobile homes. The age of housing stock within the town of Southampton, about 13% of housing units townwide were built prior to 1940. About 46% of housing units townwide were built between 1940 and 1980. And about 41% of housing units townwide were built since 1980. In East Quogue, you have about 9% of units built prior to 1940. So you have fewer units built before 1940 than you do townwide. Then you've got about 54% of units built between 1940 and 1980. And 37% of housing units were built between 1980 and the present. As far as number of bedrooms per unit, townwide, about 72% of housing units have 3 or more bedrooms. About 19% have 2 bedrooms, and about 9% are studios or 1 bedrooms. This can be compared with East Quogue, which has about 77% of units with 3 or more bedrooms. About 19% of units have 2 bedrooms, and about 4% are studios or 1 bedrooms. All right, so now we're going to move on to the interactive polling questions. We are going to ask a series of polling questions, and the public will be able to answer the questions. And after everyone has logged their responses, we will display the responses. And we're not going to take any comments or questions about them at this time. We're just going to display the responses. And then after we go through the series of polling questions, we're going to open the discussion up for comments, questions, and we can discuss any specific responses that folks want to comment on at that time. So the first polling question is really just a tester to get folks to see if they can get used to taking the polling questions. First question is, what year was the town of Southampton founded? So you can enter your response. Response A is 1628. Response B is 1640. Response C, 1780. And response D is 1826. Sean, are we able to let folks vote? And has the voting opened up?
Yes, the voting is opened up now. They're still coming in, so we'll give folks just a little bit
All
more
right.
time.
And this is really just a tester question. This is not really one of our more thoughtful questions. The other polling questions are a little bit more housing related.
All right, so it looks like the votes have stopped coming in. So
Okay.
I will end the polling now and share the results.
All right, so most people got it right. 1640B was the right answer. About 74% of respondents got it right. And a lot of people guessed 1628, which is not that far off, but the right answer was 1640. All right, so we'll go on to the next polling question. Now that everybody knows how to use the polling feature. Next polling question, what types of housing are needed in the community? You can select all that apply here. Again, it's what types of housing are needed in the community. And you can make more than one selection here. So the options are A, affordable housing, B, senior housing, C, rental housing, D, home ownership, E, condominiums or co-ops, F, handicap accessible housing, or G, other. And again, you can select all that apply here. What types of housing are needed in the community? And for folks who would respond to something that is not here, and you may choose to select G, select other, when we open it up for discussion, you are welcome to let us know what that might be. And we can discuss some of the other types of housing that might be needed in the community at that time. So while everyone is responding to this, just again to reiterate, this public forum is one of 9 public forums that the town is hosting. They're hosting one public forum in each of the 9 CACs throughout the town. We have had 6 so far, I believe. Tonight is the 7th, and we have 2 more, and we have another one on Thursday, and then there's one again next Tuesday. So there are 9 public forums. All of them are being recorded and are available for viewing afterwards. You can always go to the town's website to review any of the public forums that you may have missed or would like to review.
All right, it looks like the answers have stopped coming in, so I will end the polling now.
Okay.
And share the results.
All right, so it's all over the place. Everything is on the board here, but the highest rate came in for home ownership with 47% of respondents did include home ownership as type of housing that is needed in the community. We also have about 37% of respondents saying affordable housing. About 32% of respondents said senior housing. Rental housing came in at about 32% as well. Condominiums and co-ops, about 21% of respondents, and also about 21% of respondents said handicap accessible housing, and other is on the board as well. So when we open it up for discussion, we can see what other kinds of housing may be needed if someone wishes to discuss at that time. All right, the next polling question. What form of housing is needed in the community? And again, here we can select only one. You cannot select multiple here. It's only one. What form of housing is needed in the community? So please select whatever you feel is most needed. Option A, single-family detached housing. Option B, 2-family homes. Option C, 3 to 4 family homes. Option D, multifamily townhouse style. Option E, multifamily other. This may include multifamily mixed use, residential over retail. Option F is garden style apartments or condos. Option G is intergenerational housing. This might be something like accessory apartments or carriage homes, etc. So here you can only make one selection. Again, what form of housing is needed in the community? So this information from the polling and from the online survey, which we're asking folks to take, all of the polling information and data and all of the comments and discussion that we'll have tonight and with all of the public forums is going to be wrapped up into the housing plan And again, the housing plan is going to be reviewed by the town board and ultimately accepted as part of the comprehensive plan. That is the goal of the housing plan, to serve as the housing component of the comprehensive plan. How are the responses doing, Sean?
They're slowly coming in, so I'll give people another 20,
right.
30 seconds or so.
Sounds good. There is an online survey that is open to the public. It has been open for over a week now, and it will remain open until September 15th. And there is a link on the town's website. We'll talk more about it at later on after the end of the public comments, and we'll tell you where you can find that link. But it is on the town's website. It is a link to a survey, which is interactive, and a lot of these questions with a lot more detail, though, will be included in that, or they are included in that survey.
All right, so it looks like we've got all of the votes that'll come in for this one, so I'll end the poll and share the results.
Okay, so we've got about 35% of respondents said single-family detached housing, and that ties with about 35% of respondents, including noting intergenerational housing. So those both came in. Single-family detached housing and intergenerational housing came in at about 35%. Garden-style apartments or condos, we had about a 24% response rate, and two-family homes also had about a 6% response rate. The other items, the other options, C, D, and E, did not have any respondents. Okay, we will move on to the next polling question. And I think we only have a few left. This one, what size housing is needed in the community? This is pretty straightforward. What size housing is needed in the community? Option A, studio or efficiency units. Option B, one-bedroom units. Option C, two-bedroom units. Option D, three-bedroom units. Option E, four-bedroom units, four or more bedroom units. You can only select one here. What size housing is needed in the community? And again, all of the information that we're gathering this evening, as well as the comments, questions that we'll have when we open this up for public discussion, it's all going to be utilized in the housing plan for the town. If it takes a long time, that's good. That means we have a lot of people responding.
It does look like people have finished their votes, so I'll end the polling now and share the results.
Okay, so three bedrooms, three-bedroom units came in with the highest response rate at about 39%. But everything was on the board. Three bedrooms were followed by two bedrooms and one bedrooms in studio. And we even had four-bedroom units with some responses there. But the highest response rate was for the three-bedroom units. Okay. The next polling question. This one is a little bit of a denser polling question here. So here you can select all that apply. The question is, identify barriers to building or obtaining additional housing options in your community. Again, identify barriers to building or obtaining additional housing options in your community. Select all that apply. The options are A, zoning approval process, local regulations or environmental regulations. That's A. B is high cost of construction. C is local perception of affordable housing or NIMBYism. Option D is substandard housing or housing needing rehabilitation. Option E is insufficient affordable rental units. Option F is lack of available land. Option G is high cost of land. Option H is taxes. Option I is lack of sufficient public transportation between potential housing and jobs. And option J is other. So if there's something that is not mentioned here, please select other. and we can talk about it when we open it up for discussion. Again, you can select all that apply here. Please identify barriers to building or obtaining additional housing options in your community. Select all that apply. And this just gives you an idea of some of the things that we're looking at in the housing plan. Not only are we looking at existing housing stock, housing supply, housing affordability, but we're also looking at existing demographics and demand characteristics and identifying barriers and opportunities for increasing housing options and identifying what kinds of housing options are most needed. So select all that apply here. And for anyone who mentions other, let us know when we open it up to discussion what your thoughts are.
It seems as though people have stopped voting, so I'll end the polling now and share the results.
So high cost of land came in at about 56% with the highest response rate. It was followed by high cost of construction and also by taxes. So, but everything was on the board, including other. But the highest response was for high cost of land. Okay. All right, so the last polling question. What types of improvements would you like to see in the downtown area nearest to where you live or work? Select all that apply. Again, it's what types of improvements would you like to see in the downtown area nearest to where you live or work? Select all that apply. Option A, traffic safety and traffic calming improvements. Option B, improved handicap accessibility. Option C, improved lighting. Option D, decorative amenities such as lights or benches. Option E, economic development or business incentives. Option F, commercial facade upgrades for businesses. Option G, bicycle lanes and bike parking. Option H, other. If there is something we have not mentioned here, then please select H for other. Again, select all that apply here. What types of improvements would you like to see in the downtown area nearest to where you live or work? And although you can't really provide very much commentary when you select other here, when we do open it up for comments in a few minutes, you can give us some ideas of what your thoughts or comments are.
All right, it looks like votes have stopped coming in, so I'm going to end the polling now and share the results.
Okay, so commercial facade upgrades for businesses came in with the highest response rate at 65%. Everything was on the board here. That was the commercial facade upgrades for businesses was followed by traffic safety and calming improvements at about 50+%, and decorative amenities came in at 47%, tied with economic development and business incentives, also at 47%. But other things were on the board, including bicycle lanes and bike parking. But again, the highest response rate came in for F, commercial facade upgrades for businesses. All right. So that is it for the polling for this evening. We now are going to open it up and we'd like to hear more from you. I'm going to turn it over to Sean, who's going to review how we go about either raising our hand or chatting to make comments or questions this evening. Sean?
All right, so just a brief review, and I know we've got people that have joined since we started. So if you would like to speak To ask a question verbally, you can press the raise hand button that is down at the bottom of your screen if you are on mobile or on the computer. If you're dialing in by telephone, you can press *9. And what that does is it sends me and the other panelists a notification that you would like to speak, that you've got a comment or question, and we will call on you either by your name, or if you're dialing in from telephone, the last 3 digits of your phone number, to let you know when it is your turn. If you would rather enter a question in with your keyboard on your computer, you can use the Q&A box, and we will answer questions as they come in, either in text or verbally as appropriate.
Okay, thank you. All right, so as soon as we have some comments or questions, we will read those aloud or let you speak.
All right, so we do have a comment that was submitted during the polling section. Jessica in Sulaco says, there should be an option to say that we don't have any housing needs. Hamlet is built out, school is maxed out. They say EQ has one of the highest taxes, the tax rates in the town because of the size of the school. Can't afford to add any more students to the district.
Okay. That's a good comment. I thank you for that. As I mentioned earlier, there is an online housing survey, which is far more detailed, and it does allow in that online housing survey for you to make specific comments. And it also does indicate throughout the survey in many different areas where there is, additional housing is not needed. So I encourage you to definitely, I mean, we're taking all of your comments tonight, and this is all being recorded and taken down and will be carefully reviewed for the housing plan. But I also encourage everyone to take the online housing survey, because that will give you an opportunity to really put in those very specific responses where housing is not needed, or it will also allow you to make specific written comments and submit them as part of your survey response.
All right, so we have another question. Terry Dumas asks how many people are in the meeting, and there are 24 right now. And Christian Mosiki says that they agree with Jessica's sentiment. And we have Jessica is raising their hand, so I will allow them to talk. Jessica, hold on just a moment. You should. Jessica, it seems like your Zoom client hasn't been updated, so I can't unfortunately let you speak verbally, but please add your questions to the question and answer box again, and I'll make sure that those are heard as well. We have from another person question, does the town have any properties that are being considered to be purchased for preservation?
I'll let Diana, is there anything that you want to speak to on that?
There are many properties that are on the town's preservation list. If you want to say there's a list on their program. And I think today, even at the board meeting, one of them might have been in East Quogue. But yes, there are, and the best person to answer that question would be the person who handles our CPF, which is Lisa Combrick. But yes, there are still properties throughout the town that we will continue to consider to purchase if the price is right and if the location is proper. So yes.
All right, so Richard Blows says EQ needs parking improvements within the Hamlet area. You had no choice for parking in the survey.
Okay, it's good. That's why other is there, but thank you. Absolutely.
Thanks, Rich. And filling out that survey, the actual survey allows much more opportunity to do these things. It's an anonymous survey, but it does have kind of like an other in every one of its questions. So you will be allowed to expand on anything that you feel is important. But thank you for that. Yes, I understand the parking downtown is an issue there.
And we had another person, Bill, who echoed that parking issue as well. We've got another person raising their hand, Sharon. Please say hello so we can see if you are.
Hello?
All right, wonderful. Sharon, thank you. It is your turn.
What data is presented in this or other forums where we clearly have a need for providing taxpayer-based housing projects? Why does the town feel the need to inorganically manipulate the population?
I'm not sure I understand the question. This housing plan is being developed as part of the town's comprehensive plan. This housing plan does not have any specific housing proposals, and we're not looking at specific developments or developers or specific sites. And this housing plan is also not for all, it's not just for affordable housing. We're looking at housing throughout the town to determine what, if any, is needed to be done, and if so, where. But again, it's a townwide housing plan. So there's no specific proposals for development or development of any specific type of housing associated with the plan. I don't know if that answers your question.
Somewhat.
Okay. Was there another part to the question that I missed in the beginning?
Well, no, it kind of wraps into the Southampton Town Housing Development Group. I forget the actual title of the group, but it seems like it's a huge press to keep building affordable housing projects, whether they be called affordable or workforce housing or whatever it may be. They're built, on taxpayer funds from Preservation Fund, and they're and supported, of course, in the long term by the community of Southampton Town and its taxpayers. It just seems like it's like the biggest thing that's going on. It's the only thing that's being discussed, and it seems like there's a motive that may be underlying. I don't mean to be pessimistic, but if you let things develop organically, they seem to develop better than when there's too many people messing it, with that system, being our community.
I appreciate the comments. And again, all I can say is, as far as this plan is really, it's a component of the comprehensive plan. The town's comprehensive plan hasn't been updated in total since I think it was 1999. So it's quite old. And this essentially will be a component or a chapter of the comprehensive plan. And it will suggest opportunities for the way housing should or should not develop throughout the town. And it may include opportunities for improvements in downtown, improvements in density. There may be areas that should be preserved. So, all of that is going to be fleshed out. I am not aware of, as somebody who's just working on the plan for the town, I am not aware of any specific proposals for density, affordability. This is really more of a broad housing plan.
And just so you know, the developments that have occurred, like in Spionk recently and Sandy Hollow, are private developers that come to the town with these proposed projects. And the planning board and the town have to consider all these. We do not buy property, or we're not buying property at the town to build affordable housing. We don't have that kind of money because, as you saw, the cost of housing is very high. But we are very conscious of the individual hamlets and their different needs. That's why, instead of having one big Zoom meeting where people wouldn't even have an opportunity to speak, we thought it would be good to have these hamlet-based meetings, because heard some comments already that East Quogue is already built out. So the town is very sensitive to the density issue, both west of the canal and east of the canal, and are always looking for opportunities to do something on our town-owned land, which we don't have a lot. So Assemblyman Field, just for your information, is proposing a change to the CPF, which would increase the deduction, thereby reducing that tax. And hand in hand, he's creating a 0.5% tax that will be for affordable housing. Now, overall, the impact would be that anybody buying a house under $1 million would pay the same or less than they do now with just the one tax. But the good part about that is that fund would allow the town the opportunity to do many things, because we're not going to build our way out of, you know, the affordable housing problem, but we have to consider the other houses that are built as well. So this fund, we would like to use it on the side of the housing division to do rehabilitation of homes. So we would lend people money to rehab their homes. If a young couple is buying a house and it's a little, you know, a little fixer-upper and they don't have the money because they just put all their money in a down payment, we would be able to help them and give them that loan at 0 interest to be able to fix up the house. Or if a senior wants to put an accessory apartment in an existing home, then we would be able to also help that senior to build that out if they don't have the money to do it. And all these would be a lien on the property. So when the property is sold, the fund gets paid back. So it would be a revolving fund. So we also would want a down payment assistance program for our young families that are, you know, are working very hard and they don't have enough money to save up for a down payment. So this fund would be very creative and allow us to help in many ways, rather than just building. That we are running out of land at some point, so we are well aware of that. And having these community forums is really to help us understand exactly what is needed within each hamlet. So I hope that answers your question and maybe makes more questions.
Am I still on? Am I still on?
Did she answer your question?
I somewhat. I understand some of where she's going.
Okay.
Oh, we are on, I guess. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your candor. The one thing that I always concern myself with, and maybe I'm alone in this position, but you know, the CPF fund, by and part, has become part of the problem for affordability in
Yes.
the various areas. It's a competitor or even a predator in the real estate market, driving disproportionately the price of land. And ever since it was created, it's become more unaffordable for young people to, you know, re-enter into our community once they pass, you know, we'll say, you know, high school or college or grad school.
No, understood. And I've been begging Fred for a long time. When I'm pretty friendly with him, and we've asked him to try to do something, because the unintended consequences of a very good law, we want our environment preserved. We are sitting on top of our drinking water. So we understand that. And this new legislation is an attempt to help that and help mitigate that. We're already doing that with the CPF, allowing sewage treatment, you know, kind of grants to allow people to upgrade their systems. So all these things are just, we're looking at creative ways to help solve that problem. And the board is very interested in making sure that they do the right thing. So I hope that answers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much. We've got a few other questions. John Plate says, hello, I would like to know what plans the town has for increasing the amount of housing units for adults with developmental disabilities. And this is from John Plate, a SEEN board member.
Yes, John. I work very closely, as you know, with several of your members that are friends for a long time, and we are well aware of that. It's a dire need, because once children age out of the state programs, it becomes very difficult. So that is very much on our radar screen to try to resolve some of that. with perhaps some 4-bedroom homes that we can have a manager live with, 3 or more adult with the developmental disabilities. We are looking at every option. So yes, that is on our radar screen, and I thank you for that.
All right, so we've got another comment from Richard Blows. You also did not include the need for second and third homeowner development within our communities, which is important considering this is the main economy of our township.
Thank you, Rich. That was part of the rental and home ownership to see how that would happen. So we thought that was, and again, this is only to generate discussion, these poll questions. They will be included. Obviously, all your comments will be included in the final plan, but it was mostly to generate discussion. And then once the survey, and the survey is crucial, I beg everyone to please go on and answer those questions, because that will give us an even finer look as to what people need, like parking areas, which I noticed that you requested and are asking about. And we get that, downtown parking is essential to those businesses and to help our communities in those downtown areas. But yes, we understand that there will continue to be third and homeowner developments. People are right now, the market is hot for people looking for properties to move out here after COVID. So thank you for that comment, but yes, we understand that as well.
So Patty Zolo asks, is the town considering housing for individuals with disabilities as it does for our seniors?
The town board has been looking at assisted living type facilities, which is a little different from senior housing, because senior housing are kind of independent, active seniors that can live on their own. And the housing for individuals with disabilities is a little bit different, because some of them need a manager or someone that can be there to help them with maybe things that they're not able to do. But we are looking at all of that. I mean, our senior population is growing. I'm a senior. So we're aware that we need those type of facilities. And this whole process, again, this is a process that gives us kind of a roadmap. It's not really saying we're going to build this, we're going to build that, we're going to build this. When it's all done and we gather all that information and the school district population and enrollments and how housing will affect certain communities, that's what we're looking at doing with this plan. And again, include it in the full town master comprehensive plan. The housing section hadn't really been updated since 1999. So this is 20 years later, and a lot of things have changed, and that's why we need your input. Because it's not about the town, it's about you in the community and what you're willing to provide and allow for.
All right, thank you. Bill adds, does it make more sense to build affordable housing in affordable areas or in higher end areas? Is there a precedent for this outside of Southampton?
Well, the federal government has fair housing legislation, which means you cannot have an adverse impact when you build a development and try to eliminate people from certain areas. Housing should be available to everyone. I will say that the town of Southampton has already built affordable housing in Sagaponack. We have 2 units in Greater Sagaponack, each with an accessory apartment that were built about 10 years ago. We have 12 units that were built on the Bridgehampton Turnpike around 2009. And those are a mix of individual homes, a manor home, which has 2 homeowners, each with an accessory apartment, and the houses look like a big farmhouse. So there are many ways to create this housing in the eastern part of the town that are acceptable, and those houses, people don't even know they're there, and they've been there for 10 years. So there are ways to build and develop housing in all the different hamlets of the town. Density is an issue, water quality is an issue. So we want to make sure that we're sensitive to the density and where it will occur.
All right. Karen Coy says, the surveys don't ask if we don't think we need any housing. It only asks what types of housing we need. The surveys are leading and don't leave room for any discussion except for a specific agenda to add housing. With just 24 people on this meeting, it would be impossible to see what EQ needs or wants. What other outreach is the town planning?
So this is one of 9 public forums. So yes, there are only 20 some odd people on this public forum, but we have 9 of these. As far as these survey questions were intended to get people having this discussion that we're having right now. So it's to have people start thinking about housing and talking about housing. The survey questions were very limited. The online survey that is live that we are asking everyone to take is far more detailed, and it does provide opportunities for individual comment. So there are options throughout where you can say, you can click on other, and you can write in your response. And there are options to say additional housing is not needed, or I don't remember the exact words, but there are more options in that online housing survey. In this type of venue, it's very difficult to really have a lot of online survey questions town-wide. So the online survey is meant to really gather town-wide data. This evening's survey was, this evening's forum is kind of a replacement for what we were originally going to do. Was going to be one town-wide public forum somewhere in the town. And that was pre-COVID, when we were going to be able to do this in person. And we would have we were thinking we were going to have a real in-person public forum where anyone and everyone from the town could come, and we would have a town-wide forum. Because of COVID and because we could not do this in person, we decided rather than having one online forum, we would host a series of 9 forums, and we would focus each one of the forums on one CAC and provide a little bit of background information about that CAC. Although, of course, anyone can attend. You don't have to be from that CAC. You can attend any or all of the public forums. But again, I would encourage you to take the online survey. I think you'll find that it does provide those options for saying when perhaps something is not needed in the community. And there are also options to answer or provide specific input. If you click on other, you can type in a comment, specific about that survey question.
Right. And Karen, as far as how we've done this so far, the outreach that we've done so far, we did send out 20,000 emails to all the participants on our town web program that people sign up for the blast emails. We've done press releases to every radio station, media outlet, newspapers, to let them know what's going on, and that will continue. Every day before a forum, a reminder email went out. I also reminded people in the CACs to reach out to their people. So we are trying to reach out through the community, through you, to make sure that we get as much participation as possible. The hospital, the fire departments, the school district, all our businesses, the Business Alliance received this information for them to share with their members, who hopefully will share it with their employees. I'm not quite sure what else we could do, but we've tried to reach out to as many people as possible in the ways that we can now during COVID, to make sure that we get all that information. Again, this is about you, your community, your town. So yes, we're doing our best, and we ask you to spread the word as well. And anybody can always call me if they need information or an email, where to go, how to do it. I'm there to do that for you.
All of the public forums are being recorded, and they are all available. And we'll tell you this more at the end. We'll give you Diana's email address, where you can submit specific comments that you may think of afterwards. And there's also, we'll give you the online survey information towards the end. And so that'll all be at the end of tonight. So you'll have that email, and you can log on and watch any of the recorded public forums. We'll give you that information as well. All of the public forums are accessible on the town's website. So you can click on a link and perhaps view some of the earlier public forums, and you'll see the schedule for the up and coming 2 public forums that we have remaining.
All right, so I have a question from Christian Mazicki, but they are also raising their hand. So Christian, you should be able to unmute now. Can you say hi?
Thank you very much. How are you?
Good,
Can
how are
hear me?
you?
Can you hear me? Very
Yes.
well. Thanks so much for setting this up. I figured, yeah, it would just be quicker this way. The first thing I would say, I'm not sure exactly what Karen meant, but I took the online survey this afternoon. And I think that in that question that she typed, she was referring specifically to the survey, the online survey being leading, because there is not an option on all of those selections for does not need more family units or any of the points basically that she made. So I just want to make it clear that it seems like there's a disconnect here, because I did that survey and 0 was not a choice. So I understand that you can type in responses for other, but every single survey design is done by tallying out what the responses are to the different bands and looking at the totals. So if there's not one for 0, I don't know how you derive any actionable data from the study. The other point I'd make is you said that they're having 9 of these forums, but Karen was talking about 24 people being in this meeting and it not being representative of East Quogue. So unless I misunderstood, isn't each of the other 9 forums about another hamlet? So unless they're all about East Quogue, having 9 other forums doesn't really help for the sake of figuring out what East Quogue wants, right?
Well, again, we reached out to everybody on our mailing list, so I can't control how people respond.
No,
All
I completely understand.
Right.
I just
So,
want to,
and-
make sure that I'm understanding the right way, that those other meetings are not about, those don't help the point that Karen made, right?
Well, other communities might not want housing either. Now, again, this is not just about affordable housing. This was about all housing. So if you have someone that owns a piece of property in Quogue and wants to build a house, or buys a piece of property and wants to build a house, there is nothing really the town can do if they comply with all the codes and all the other, you know what I mean? So this is not just about affordable housing, even though we will use it to guide our policy towards affordable housing. So we get that.
Yeah, no, that was my other question actually that I had as far as it relates to the new legislation and the CPF and the change. You mentioned a 0.5% increase
Yes.
for affordable housing that could be used like for things like, you know, helping young families renovate homes and do these things. But obviously you saw the polls, there's a reticence towards additional multifamily units going up. They're still going up. When you hear a 0.5% tax increase for affordable housing units, what's to prevent that tax from just being used to build more multifamily units that no one seems to want?
But remember, those developments came through from a private developer. We cannot control. If somebody wants to buy 20 acres and come to the town and say, we want to build this, there's no way you can just say absolutely
right, but you
not.
can reason, yeah, right, but there's other ways that it obviously, I mean, it's all money going into the same buckets, right? So whether it's offset and tax
Right.
subsidies that come down when you collect an additional 0.5% tax revenue, it allows you to do things with affordable housing. Otherwise, what's
Right.
the point in collecting taxes at all for affordable housing?
Right, right. And again, like I
so
said,
as far as like the strategy, I mean, generally, right, like we're the most dense. Yeah, I would think, I mean, we're the only one with any actionable mobile home data. If you sum up that already existing data across the various asset classes for multifamily units, I think that we probably lead the pack. So how are we going to guarantee that things are dispersed more evenly moving forward and that we don't, you know, make the school frankly more dense than it already is and see those taxes go up?
no, I feel you. I hear you loud and clear, and that is an issue that a lot of people would have as well. That 0.5% would be is going to be voted on in 2021, hopefully, after we do a big scale education piece. But again, our goal is to try to upgrade existing properties, create affordable housing, and I'm sure that there will be some developers that come in with affordable housing. That doesn't mean that we're going to help them with that money. The money that we're trying to use is for what the town wants to use it for, not a developer wants to use it. And there may be an opportunity. We may want to help a developer. It's a good project, but the fund is not for that.
But that, I guess, is what's concerning. Like that,
Right.
you know,
No,
the
I get
open-ended,
it.
we might want to, you know, accessory apartments because of the existing density, the ability for the town to just frankly go back and rezone projects once it gets a sweetheart deal from a developer that it thinks, you know, is going to get us some tax revenue, but then the taxpayers are left footing the bill when the schools get loaded up. And that's frankly what's been happening. So I mean, it's nice to say we hope that doesn't happen, and you know, it's nice it gives us
I
flexibility,
understand.
but maybe it will happen. You know, that's basically what we're saying. So
Okay.
how do we know it's not going to happen and not see the taxes keep going up?
Well, again, that's a transfer tax on the sales. Remember, it's not a tax
Right.
on
The other
everybody.
taxes but all the taxes have gone up.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure they'll continue to go up. But again,
But hopefully not, because the schools keep getting loaded up with more multifamily units.
right. Well,
When Southampton
remember,
pays $2 per thousand.
right, when those multifamily units come
And we're 5
before
or
the
6 times
board,
up.
that's when community participation has to go to the zoning board or the planning board, where those projects are presented. The town really does not have full control over that unless it's a zoning change. And then you still have opportunities to go to public hearings and public meetings at the town halls. So everything that happens is always part of a public process. And
Absolutely.
that's
And we
where-
do, right? And I went on and
Right.
filled out the survey and all those things, but we still are stuck with 6 times the tax bill of Southampton on average, Bridgehampton, other small hamlets. And I get that they have a different type of population
Yes,
with regards to
yes.
their ocean exposure and those things, but there's a middle ground as well that, that will be nice for a resident to have a little bit more assurance that the schools aren't going to continue to get loaded up so that fat tax line can keep getting fatter.
Understood. And that this is what we need. We need all that input from you and from your neighbors and your community. The more people that respond, the greater the opportunity to have that as a major issue. And I know, believe me, I feel your pain. It's a large issue here. And we have a very different dynamic with wealthy and not so wealthy and working families. So it's hard. And this is why we're trying to get as much participation as possible. And thank you for all your comments.
Thank you.
All right. So we've got other questions written in. And I just want to bring up that we do have a lot of questions, and I'm reading them in the order that they've come in. So if it seems like I haven't gotten to your question yet, I'm not ignoring you. We just have a lot of them. Richard Blows asks, we need to promote second and third home ownership in the town since this is the backbone of the town's economy.
Understood?
Cindy McNamara says, the ZBA has created one of our housing problems. 2 to 3 bedroom homes are being demolished and replaced with huge homes that are no longer affordable to the working class.
Understood. That's happening a lot everywhere. But again, the ZBA also has public hearings where people who are looking for those exemptions from the town code, because the ZBA, what it does is allows people to not comply with the town code for certain reasons, and those people have to give good reasons. But they have public hearings, and that's where the public has to come out when you see some of these things and say, not here. So hopefully this process will help us understand that more and help the public understand that. But all those opportunities are presented, and I know the ZBA, that's their job, is to look at those things and then give exemptions.
Cindy also asks, is the town working with the villages as well?
Well, we do not have control over zoning, planning, or housing in the villages. However, the village residents are welcome to participate in all of these forums and in the housing study. But again, they're separate municipalities and we cannot control what they do.
Barbara Lahner says, our community needs better internet service if people are moving to this area and if schools and businesses are to thrive. Currently, East Quogue service is very unstable. What can the town do to enhance this very necessary communication service?
Not sure, because I think since we've had an influx of people that are second homeowners that have moved into their homes and are now using the internet and phones, service has been a little dicey in the past few months. I don't know exactly what the town can do except lobby, our providers. And again, that's some things are not in our control or the town board's control.
Richard has another question. Can a community obtain the demographics of affordable housing and rental units throughout the entire town?
Richard, on the housing page, on the Housing and Community Services page, if you go on the main page, I have pictures of all the affordable housing that's been built probably since about 1990. And it gives information on how many units were built, what the original sale price was. So we do have that. I haven't updated it with Sandy Hollow and Skeonk and Tuckahoe yet, and I will, but I've been busy with this. So yes, that is available, and you can see it right on the town website. As far as rentals, if you're talking about housing choice voucher rentals, that is not allowed. We are not allowed to say or to indicate where those rentals are. Only rentals we can talk about are the rentals that are provided by the town, which have never been much. But I did say there were 2 rental units in Sagaponack, and that's what we're trying to do. But there are private property issues that we cannot divulge certain things, especially if it's a private home.
So we've got a few other questions and comments from Sharon. I'll read them all together. What is the strategy? Look for school capacity and low taxes. This means Southampton and Bridgehampton would be first. The town allowed rezoning and variance changes, allowing 6 units to be built on a parcel zoned for 7 units in Southampton. Those are Sharon's comments and questions.
Okay. The 60 units in Southampton, I don't know if you're talking about the concern for living units. That is just in the very early stages, and the town just allowed the application process to start. So there is still a lot of opportunity to comment on that particular project. And again, that was a private developer that purchased property and came to the town with that development. Now it's in the control of the planning department, and they will have to go through major, environmental impact statements, traffic studies, and all those things will be public, and hopefully the public will have many opportunities to comment on that as well.
Karen has a similar question. What is the strategy for the plan? Is the town looking at school capacity and or low taxes?
Well, we're kind of looking at everything. I mean, that's the whole point, what the student population would be, traffic. But again, this is not looking at a specific project or a specific hamlet. We're looking town-wide. And of course, we're taking into consideration the capacity or the current situation in each hamlet. That's why we thought the hamlets would be better to get information from the hamlets, as you are giving us now, which maybe was not the same information we got in Bridgehampton or in Watermill. So that's why these are so important. And again, the survey, I apologize if it doesn't have, I don't want anything, but you can always write that in any one of the fields and we'll get it. So if you want to say we don't want any housing on any of those questions, that will be part of the plan. That's part of what we'll incorporate. So please feel free to do that in any of those questions.
And the survey does allow you to put in what hamlet you live in. So you can actually, on that survey, tell us exactly where you are so we can tie your responses to your particular hamlet.
Not you as an individual, but we will have that information. So.
Right.
All right, so Jessica in Sulaco has added a few things echoing that same question that you just asked, which is what is the overall strategy, school capacity versus low taxes. So really the same questions there. Jessica also points out that the EQ comprehensive plan was completed in 2008.
Comprehensive.
Say that again,
I don't remember a comprehensive plan in 2008. The last master comprehensive plan for the town was 1999, and that's available on the website. There have been updates to certain portions of that plan, and everything, all those plans are all on the town website. But the actual housing portion, this is the first time since 1999 that this portion of the plan is being looked at specifically.
All right. Bill asks, where do environmental issues come into play in these surveys?
Well, there is one question that will be on environment, and of course, you all know living on the East End, environment is really crucial here, whether it's water or vistas or anything that we know that makes this community what it is. So please comment on that, on the sections that you can. But yes, we are aware of that. We live on the East End of Long Island, so.
All right. Jessica also comments, we have affordable housing on Gleason plus all of the mobile home parks. And Richard adds, just to clarify my last question, I was not referring to Section 8 rentals, but affordable rental units the town has approved with Hamlet development, like they approved with the Hampton Bays Center.
I'm not aware of the Hampton Bays Center apartments. I'll have to look into that. But we do have apartments over stores in certain areas of the town. There are 6 affordable apartments that will be based over stores that are currently in the approval process in Bridgehampton. So there will be 4 units next to Loaves and Fishes and 2 units across the street, and they will be affordable apartments over commercial. And we have 2 affordable apartments over commercial in Watermill. There was one development that was approved in East Quogue, I think, or Hampton Bays, one of those, and that was never built. The approvals were done, but it was never built. I'm not sure about Rich, Hampton Bays Center. I'll have to look into that. If you shoot me an email, I'm not sure which one you're referring to. We do have in Hampton Bays the Woodbridge Apartments, our apartments, Bishop Ryan. So they were already, and those are all seniors. We don't have a lot for working families or unage restricted.
All right, so my queue right now for both written questions and hand raises is empty. So that's all I have for right now. If somebody has other questions, now is a good time to ask.
Anything else, Sean, or we will provide everyone with the follow-up information?
That is all that I have. Nothing else is coming in.
All right. So following the public forum, this presentation will be available on the town's website. All of the public forums are available on the town's website, as well as this PowerPoint presentation in case you want to review any of this information. We also encourage everyone to participate in the Town of Southampton online housing survey. It will be available until September 15th. It's fast and easy. It sounds like some people here tonight or have already taken it. It can be completed from a computer, tablet, smartphone. The survey link is posted on the town's website, and there is opportunity to make individual comments in that survey, and we encourage you to do so. This virtual public forum, as we mentioned, is one of 9 forums being held throughout the town of Southampton. There's another one this Thursday for Flanders, Riverside, and Northampton. And then next Tuesday is the last of the 9 public forums, and that one is for Hampton Bays. Again, we do encourage anyone to participate in any of these. If you're not able to attend the one that is in your individual CAC, please attend another and provide your comments. We thank you for attending. We thank you for all of your comments. Again, this is recorded, and we have someone that has been taking copious notes this evening. So we've gotten down all of your comments, and they will be carefully reviewed as we develop the housing plan with the town. If you have any questions or comments, please email Diana at dweir@southamptontownny.gov. Again, that's dweir@southamptontownny.gov. And as we mentioned, the housing plan is underway, and we are going to be developing it in the coming months. We expect to have a draft complete sometime in the fall, and we will submit it to the town board for their review and ultimately for them to adopt as a component of the comprehensive plan. Diana, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, thank you. I'm always there. Just email me. I've gotten several people after the meeting send me emails to ask more questions. Everything, all your comments will be included in the plan. And I thank you all, and just please spread the word and make sure that we get as much participation as possible. And thank you all for your comments. I really appreciate them. Thank you.
Thank you.